Welcome back again, beautiful people. This is Natalie Silva with Life Treasures and Golden Moments. Today I'd like to share a story about healing. How often do we speak of miracles and yet not really know what they are? This story that I'm going to tell you today have been shared by men and women who have had to face serious illnesses and threats to their lives. When there isn't always a cure, we may need a miracle to strengthen our faith that God is by our side. Today is such a story, and it was written and authored by Christina Skowalska, and it's called The Sign of the Rose. She was such a beautiful baby, an adorable little girl, a joy of our happy family. We were so proud of all four of our children, and especially Carol. That's why it was so hard for me to understand what happened when Carol reached teenage. Almost overnight, she became a different person, moody and irritable, a stranger to her father and me. Her whole personality changed, as if some demon had taken possession of our little girl. She would flare up for seemingly no reason, her anger erupting in cutting remarks and foul language hurled at her brother and her sisters. She started to take an interest in boys, one in particular who, in our opinion, was much too old for her. But we could control that. We wouldn't let her date without our approval. And we made sure she was at home and in bed at a decent hour. She turned hostile toward me. It unnerved me, but I attributed it to her age. Although she looked more mature, she was just 14. I suppose she'd grow out of it. At least she was doing well in school, so we assumed her behavior was only in our home. We never had any bad reports from the neighbors or her teachers. If we could be patient, I was sure Carol would be getting through the stage. Then one day I received a call from the school. The caller said it concerned Carol, and that it shouldn't be handled on the phone. The counselor told me that Carol's attitude had completely changed, that there was a serious problem, and that the school recommended a psychiatric evaluation. Psychiatric, I cried. That word frightened me. Isn't that a little drastic? There's nothing wrong with my daughter, I thought. It's just a phase, I said. I'd speak to my husband. Jim and I talked long into the night. We agreed that she wasn't the Carol we had lived with all these years. But we couldn't believe that was anything abnormal about our daughter. And yet, we had to know for sure. We decided to do what the school recommended. The real nightmare began with that visit to the psychiatrist. Instead of hearing that we had nothing serious to worry about, the doctor said that Carol should be hospitalized immediately. If not, there was a strong possibility that she could harm herself or even someone else. Although he spoke calmly, I felt as if he had hit me. This can't be happening to us. We're a normal family. But he stressed the importance of acting quickly, before it was too late to help Carol. For the first time, I feared for my child. It was the hardest thing Jim and I had ever had to face. I thought back to some of the threats Carol had made in our home, that she would kill her brother if he didn't do what she wanted, that she wished she were dead. At the time, I had just ignored those remarks as childish outbursts. She didn't really mean them, but what if? I'll never forget the day we left her at the clinic in Richmond. She glared at us with pure hatred in her eyes. Could this be the little girl I rocked to sleep and cuddled in my arms? This angry girl who wouldn't even let me touch her? I didn't want to leave her, but the doctor told us that it would be best not to visit her until they notified us. Suddenly, I felt tired and exhausted. Is this my fault? I thought. What did I do wrong? Jim, too, felt guilty. We consoled ourselves that Carol was getting the treatment she needed. 2 weeks later, we got a call from the clinic. Carol had run away. Somehow she had managed to sneak out of the clinic and just disappeared. Anger rose up inside of me. How could they have let this happen? They were professionals, and we had trusted them with our daughter. They told us that the police had been notified, that they would find Carol, or maybe she would just come home. Oh, God, please let her come home. But she didn't come home. Weeks went by. The FBI was notified, and still she wasn't found. The rage inside me mounted, threatening to tear me apart. Why couldn't they find one little girl? I learned that the boy she had been seeing was missing too. They must be together. Surely with 2 descriptions now, they would find Carol soon. I was angry with everyone, the boy, the rest of the family, and especially Carol. I was mad at God, too. He shouldn't have let this happen. He didn't care about us. I couldn't even pray. What good would prayer do? As weeks stretched to months, my spirits weakened. I was convinced it was my entire fault. Why hadn't I seen the danger sooner? Why hadn't I been a better mother? With all the worry, our whole family suffered. June, Carol's older sister, cried a lot and confessed she had known that Carol had been sneaking out at night after we were all asleep. She hadn't told us then because Carol had threatened her, but now June was filled with guilt for her silence. My reaction to this news was horrible. I raged and screamed at June for keeping this information to herself. I took it out on my husband, too, never acknowledging that he heard the same as I. He also felt he must be to blame, and his job was affected because of all the time he missed searching every lead. My tantrums distressed the whole family. The fury inside of me was like a cancer, eating away all reason. Finally, our son, Donnie, upset by all the arguing, shouted, "Mom, we're still here." Only then did I realize that I'd been punishing everyone else for what Carol had done. I'd neglected the others, and now our beautiful family was deteriorating. On the advice of our priest, Father John, Jim and I went to a weekend marriage encounter where we were able to talk to each other, acknowledge our fears and our grief, and draw close again. For a while, things improved. As the years went by, almost 4 of them, our hopes withered. Each holiday I sat anxiously by the phone and searched the mailbox on the chance that I'd get some word from Carol. Maybe she'd remember me on Mother's Day, or perhaps thoughts of our good Christmas celebration might prompt her to contact us during that season. Was she still alive? If so, didn't she know that we still loved her, no matter what happened? I knew we had to get on with our lives, but how? Each time the news stated that a body had been found, the police notified us, and we had to go to the morgue to see if it might be Carol. Thank God it never was. Yet, the experience so shook us that it took weeks to get over it. If we had received word that Carol was dead, we may have been able to grieve and give her up, but not knowing anything sapped the very life out of us. My health failed, and I was hospitalized with a heart problem caused by stress. At home again and on the verge of a nervous breakdown, I went to see our priest. I was still angry with God, but I didn't know where else to turn. I remember only one thing Father John said to me. "Chris, when she comes back, don't badger her about where she's been. Just accept her and love her." When, not if, he'd said. Hope flickered again. Soon after that, I had the chance to go to Spain on business. While there, I decided to visit the monastery of St. Teresa of Avila. I'd heard of its beautiful rose gardens and the Carmelite nuns who made rosaries from the rose petals. I needed some beauty in my life again. It was as lovely as I heard. I bought one of the rosaries and strolled through the grounds. But the peace I had been searching for would not come. My walk brought me to this magnificent cathedral there. I went in and found myself in front of a huge painting of St. Teresa. I felt totally helpless. We had tried everything we knew and nothing had worked. Clutching the rosary in my hand, I began to speak to the saint. It wasn't exactly a prayer. I hadn't been able to pray for a long time. But she looked so compassionate and understanding in that picture that I began to pour out my misery to her. "Please, St. Teresa," I whispered, "help me. I don't know what else to do. Please give me a sign. Just let me know that she is alive or dead. We can't go on in this darkness much longer." I don't know if I was expecting a miracle, but nothing happened, and yet somehow I felt better just by talking to that picture. I flew back to the States, arriving home late at night from the airport. A note from my neighbor was pinned to my front door. It said that she had some flowers for me that a florist had tried to deliver that evening. The next morning I went next door to claim my gift. I stared at the flowers. They were roses, a dozen glorious, sweet-smelling roses. Could this be the sign I'd asked St. Teresa for? With trembling hands I tore open the card. Tears welled up as I read the most wonderful words in the world. Mom, can I come home? I'll call you. I love you. Carol. Oh, God, thank you. You do care. Forgive my lack of faith. After 4 years of anguish, those last moments of waiting for her call were almost unbearable. A million questions cluttered my mind. Was she all right? Where had she been? What had happened to her? Was she home to stay? Why had she run away? Then I remembered Father John's words. Don't badger her. Just accept her and love her. Jesus, help me, I prayed. I'm so human. I'm not sure I can do this right without your help. I don't want to chase her away again. When the door opened and the beautiful young lady, not the little girl I remembered, walked in, I was filled with joy I'd never felt before. Oh, Mom, I'm so sorry, she sobbed. All the pain and sorrow of the past 4 years disappeared. Nothing else mattered but that Carol was home. With downcast, wet eyes, I said softly, I'm so glad to see you again. I held out my arms, and she ran to embrace me. And all I could think of was, thank you, God. Oh, thank you, for this is my child, who was dead to us, is alive again. She was lost and is found. This is Natalie Silver with Life Treasures and Golden Moments. I hope you enjoyed our story on the miracle of healing today. I wish you a beautiful day and a beautiful week and miracles every day in your life. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, take care and God bless.